Wants the play that led to the opening goal. So APIA have been warned. Here is Umababa. Be the player kicking us off, Sutherland Sharks.
Just getting chillier.
1 2 1 2 1 2. Welcome to Lambert Park, the heart of Sydney's inner west for NPL New South Wales football tonight. Reigning premiers APIA Leichhardt looking to keep alive their hopes of defending their title against finals hunting Wollongong Wolves. APIA's third game here in a week, a scare against Sutherland, followed by a shock defeat to the Central Coast Mariners on Wednesday night. All good, beautiful.
I know it's natural.
Yeah. I'll do my best. I'll try and stay on this, whatever this mat is.
Yeah. It's not a
Happy Saturday, everybody. Welcome to Lambert Park, the heart of Sydney's inner west for NPL New South Wales football. Reigning premiers, APIA Leichhardt, looking to keep alive hopes of defending their title against the finals hunting Wollongong Wolves. APIA's third game here in a week, a scare against Sutherland, followed by a shock defeat to the Central Coast Mariners on Wednesday night. A repeat of either of those performances and a second straight title will have slipped away for good. And there aren't many less polite visitors in the league than Wollongong, who boast wins at both Blacktown City and Sydney United already this season. Another win tonight would put them in pole position to secure the final playoff spot with just over a month of the regular season remaining. Alex Molchanoff along with you on the Football New South Wales YouTube page tonight. Wherever you are joining us from around the world, a very good evening to you. Let's take you to the team news. A fair bit of it for both sides. Franco Parisi has done a bit of a defensive rejig after conceding those 3 goals against the Mariners on Wednesday night. Back in goal, I should say, number 1, Anthony Bazanis, behind a back 4 of number 41, Nick Azone, who makes just his 4th league start of the season, alongside number 15, Temba Muatamalo, number 21, Michael Kuda, and number 2, Saya Kambiyashi. A midfield 3 of number 18, Adrian Uchino, number 22, Eddie Caspers, and number 14, Jack Armson, behind an attacking trident of number 17, Jordan Segreto, number 16, Sean Simmons, and the returning number 7, Jack Stewart. Change in formation for David Carney looks on the cards as well for the travelling Wolves after their 2-1 defeat to Olympic last weekend. They start with Vedran Janjetovic in goal behind a back 4 of number 3 Darcy Madden, number 2 Harrison Busnell, number 5 Banri Kanaizumi, and number 4 Dylan Ryan. A midfield 3, unusual for Carney, looks likely. Number 8 Andre Takami into the side tonight alongside number 6 Sammy Riak and number 88 Chris McStay. Forward 3 for Carney as well. Number 11, Seb Hernandez. Number 10, Yago Mustafa. And the captain, 24, Lachlan Scott, who stands over the football, ready to get us underway on the early kickoff of this round 24 weekend in the NPL New South Wales men's. One of the most gorgeous and historic grounds in the competition. Greeting us this evening. A place where the Wolves haven't had much luck over the last 3 or 4 seasons. APIA have had the wood over them in their head-to-head battles recently. But the Wolves come in decent form and having had a good season on the road. One of the better away records in the competition for one of the teams that has to travel the furthest. And both setups tonight will be of interest because there has been a rejiggle for both, as I mentioned in the pre-game. And it looks as though Sammy Riak, usually a central midfielder, has slotted in at left fullback in these early stages. So we'll keep an eye on that. Carney just rejigging his side to perhaps match APIA Leichhardt. It's been a little bit of a formula set out by the 2 bottom teams in the competition. Sutherland took a 2-0 lead here on Sunday last week before throwing away that lead. The Mariners weren't as forgiving. Jack Stewart is looking to change APIA's fortunes early, and it took a deflection on the way past Vedran Janjetovic's post. So an early corner for the home side, and they needed this quick start after the loss in the week. Big rescheduled fixture for them coming up this week as well against their old inner west rivals, Sydney Olympic, down at Jubilee Stadium. So there'll be an eye to keeping legs as fresh as possible on this run home as well for Franco Parisi. He needs early goals to be able to do that, as Armstead floats that one into the middle. Fairly easily dealt with by the Wolves. Their first examination defensively. Been the best counter-attacking team, or one of them, in the competition so far this season, Wollongong. They look for that direct outlet again of Yago Mustafa, who's looking as though he's starting up in partnership with Lockie Scott tonight. Jake True moved back to the bench. Andre Takami is this key in. Such an experienced campaigner, international experience. Can he be the cool head that Carney's looking for tonight? They were very unfortunate to go down at Olympic last weekend. The latest of winners to snatch the point off them late. They come into tonight's level with St George City, who are chasing them for that final playoff spot. They may feel they've just struck up here at a good time in the midst of a busy run of fixtures. A run in which their confidence is not at its all-time high, that's for sure. But they have come out pressing pretty high. That's tidy work from Harrison Busnell. A little while since we've seen him in Kearney's starting 11, but he is there tonight. With Chino and Armson, two of the ever-presence of Franco Parisi's midfield. With Chino for much, much longer than that at this ground in maroon and blue. And this is a feature we saw of APIA over the last couple of weeks. Cheap turnovers through midfield. They can't afford for that to become a regular habit tonight against a team like Wollongong who love to hit in transition like this. Sean Simmons in at left back again, being tested early by Hernandez, who's got the better of him and whose shot on the left foot was fairly easily handled by Buzanis, who missed that loss in midweek. It's had a topsy-turvy season, the APIA Leichhardt goalkeeper. So games where he's looked like the best gloveman in the competition, and then others where sneaky little errors have weaved their way into his game. First season at the club after signing from the Sutherland Sharks. Position that was for so long occupied for the now retired Ivan Nechevsky. Swung back into play by Darcy Madden. Andre Takami picking up the ball. His influence is already seeping into the game. It's Dylan Ryan. Hasn't been the tidiest of openings for him. Uchino's putting in his usual screening display in front of his back four. Cuts out another pass forwards. Couldn't find Armson with his header. Riak for Lockie Scott, who will look to get on the ball like that and play with his back to goal. He's one of the best at it in the competition, but he couldn't bring the ball under his spell there. Stewart's searching forwards. Jordan Segreto looking as though he's the man to spearhead the attack tonight. Ben Gibson back on the bench after a couple of weeks away. There was a move touted for Ben, but he's found his way back to APIA Leichhardt. Manly United junior, who is their top scorer this season, available off the bench tonight for Franco Parisi, should he be required. Zone looking to get forward from right back for the first time this evening. As I mentioned in the pre-game, just his fourth start of the season. He's been off the bench almost every week without exception. Experienced head for APIA to bring in. Depth of squad that is envied by all others in this competition. For APIA, it's been an interesting campaign after coming off the Premiership season where they were so close to doing the League Cup double. Would have been the first team to win a double in New South Wales football since that terrific Sydney Olympic side of 2018. Saya Kambiyashi has been an addition who has only recently found his way into the first team. See why such a willing runner. It's the creative fulcrum of the Manly United team, which made it all the way to the grand final back in 2022. Armson for Segreto, via Mustafa. Noah Zone and Stewart. Loves to run at defenders, and he's got the opportunity to cut in on his left here. Appeals for handball seem to all come from the technical area rather than the players out on the pitch. It's all been a little bit scrappy in these very early stages here at Lambert Park. Wollongong will defend doggedly. It's been a feature of their play all season. Disciplined in getting behind the ball and then looking to break in these sorts of situations. Riak just running into one too many maroon bodies ahead of him. Zone getting the telling touch. Now a first touch for Eddie Caspers in midfield. Sean Simmons, starting for the second straight week as a left back, which has been known to do, but more often further forward as a left winger. Kambiashi has taken up that role. Here's Armson. Stewart's ball searching for Eddie Kaspers, who'd made the deep run. Kambiashi keeps the ball in play. Chips it back into the centre, and Janjetovic had to be alive to the header, which was steered in at his near post by Segreto. Good save from the experienced goalkeeper. Former teammate of Lechevsky, who's already been mentioned in this broadcast at Sydney FC. Thought to be retired, veteran Janjetovic has battled so many injuries over his very strong career in the A-League men's with Sydney FC and the Western Sydney Wanderers. Given a call out of the blue, really, by David Carney after Thomas Butkovic made his move. Asked if he was keen to get back into some football. Said, I'll give it a go, and says started nearly every game over the course of the 2024 season. "36 years of age and still looking very, very comfortable and as vocal as ever behind Wollongong's defence. Michael Kuda into a central defensive role. We wondered if there might be a bit of a reshuffle from Franco Parisi in his backline, but that hasn't seemed to be the case. This is very similar to the one that started the game on Wednesday against the Central Coast Mariners. The only exception is Azone in at right fullback for Dakota Askew, not fit enough to start tonight, or in fact make the squad. No plan B for the reigning champion, for the reigning premiers rather. It's just do plan A better. Certainly they've had more of the possession and more of the territory in these early stages, but yet to really test Janjetovic. One header steered on target by Segreto, but that's the extent of it. Certainly looking more proactive in their play going forwards than they have in the early stages of either of their last two games over the course of the past 7 days. It's only seeing plenty of the action at right fullback. His throw to return the ball to play. Michael Weiner is our very experienced central official tonight, having a glance over at his linesman there, but no indication that the ball had gone out of play. Pizanis belting it back at the futsal room. Michael Kuta. Simmons searching further upfield where Segreto has made the run. A lovely little flick for Kaspers. And now APIA are really going forwards. That's a good recovering challenge from Busenel. Might have undone that work by almost turning it over. And then Simmons flew into a challenge on Darcy Madden. Two firm figures going into the 50-50. No shortage of respect between the two. Expect that. Simmons, who is not far short of legend status at Lambert Park. With a famous goal in the 2019 Grand Final at Combank Stadium. Wand of a left foot, which is well known about up and down the NPL New South Wales. Janjetovic searching for his captain Scott, who went down under the challenge. Michael Kuda is asking what exactly he was meant to do, but Scott had won possession early. Once he felt the contact in the back, he was well within his rights to go to ground, and Wollongong have an attacking opportunity from a set piece for the first time this evening. Their top assist getter of the season, Chris McStay, is over the football. Plenty of tall timber forward to aim for, not least Banri Kanaizumi, who's made a habit of getting on the end of these, that actually found the head of Ryan. Don't know how much he knew about it in the end. Just flicking over the top of Pizanis' crossbar. Big night tonight for APIA. Last of those games in hand, which they've held so long, will be played on Wednesday night. That game against Olympic, which I've already mentioned. They do manage to win tonight and that game there, pending what happens tomorrow between Rockdale and Sydney United. They will potentially sit just 4 points shy of the premiership leaders, although if Rockdale do manage to get all 3 points tomorrow, that will sit at 7 with just 5 games left to play. Suddenly you're talking about a bit of a miracle chase, but stranger things have happened in this competition. Remember that final day a couple of years ago when 3 different teams could have won the premiership. Sydney Olympic went in as, or Blacktown City, sorry, went in as favourites that day and were beaten by Sydney Olympic, who claimed the title after Manly United gave them the biggest of scares. This competition is prone to those sorts of unlikely scenarios. Makes it all the more watchable for the neutrals. Simmons. APIA have just lost a little bit of that vibrancy and energy that they started the game with. Wollongong blunting their attack in the opening quarter of an hour. Kambayashi. Goals haven't been hard to come by for APIA in this fixture over the past couple of seasons. Outscored Wollongong by 5 goals to 2, over the course of their 2 fixtures last season in the league. I mentioned Wollongong's difficulties in finding results here. They haven't managed to get a win back since the COVID-affected season of 2020. It was a pretty poor one by APIA standards after winning the grand final the year before. The question now for APIA Leichhardt is how do they break down the 2 banks of 4 that Wollongong are facing up to them at the moment. The running of Jordan Segreto in behind like that will help. Probably just wants the ball in slightly more favourable positions than that one was played to him, but that's the sort of energy and enthusiasm that Franco Parisi will be looking for from his forward line. Anything in the air will be pretty quickly dealt with by a very strong Wollongong Wolves back line. They're going to have more luck getting past them on the ground, and they've got to be attentive at the back as well, as Temba Moatamalu was there, marking Chris McStay. Here's Riak. Wollongong with a chance just to put their foot on the ball for a moment. Problem for Wollongong this season hasn't been their away form, it's been the fact that their home form hasn't quite followed it. Picked up almost exactly the same amount of points away from home as they have at Wynn Stadium and Albert Butler Memorial Park. You could say that's probably because they're just as comfortable playing without the ball as they are with it. APIA Leichhardt, an opponent that they will not particularly be too worried about conceding possession to. APIA, the second most possession-focused team in the competition this season. Loving to build out from the back and through that experienced midfield. Eddie Kaspers has been such an astute signing, or proved himself to be so, over the course of the year. Just a pause for the referee Michael Winner to redo a shoelace. Scrappy nature of this game is suiting the visitors at the moment. Only one real chance, Jordan Segreto's header, which was pretty simply saved by veteran Janjetovic. A free kick going the host's way here though. Jordan Segreto is going to face some physical attention this evening, playing as that lone striker. He's done a good job of finding his way out to both flanks in these early stages and has won his team a free kick in a dangerous situation here. Ball playing ability of Uchino. Didn't show it there, did he? Goodness me. One he'd rather have back, the APIA captain. Good piece of defending there by Sean Simmons, though. Read that ball over the top to perfection. Here's Azone. Playing as a fullback tonight, but has been known to slot in through central midfield. He's very adept with the ball at his feet. Hussein Kambiashi trying to get the ball as deep as he can and thrust APIA forward with his ball running. Lovely ball inside for Sean Simmons, and now Armson. This is a fluid move from APIA, just missing its final ball. And the running power of Mustafa can take Wollongong clear. He's got support with him as well in grey. Good attacking run from Yaqub Mustafa, which draws some applause from the small travelling contingent here at Lambert Park tonight. Chino wanted the free kick, and after a moment's hesitation, he was given it by the referee. All big games coming up tonight. As I mentioned, this is the early kick-off. Sydney Olympic and the Central Coast Mariners already in action down at Belmore Sports Grounds. Following this game at 7 o'clock, or just overlapping before full time, Marconi taking on St George City at 7 o'clock. Hills United taking on Sutherland in that big relegation six-pointer, as well as St George FC hosting Northwest Sydney Spirit. Those two have managed to extricate themselves somewhat from that little wrestling match to get out of the relegation spots. But 3 more points would just give them an added layer of comfort. So games with meaningful implications across Football New South Wales' YouTube page tonight. Encourage you to stick around and catch all those games after this one's concluded. Opening 20 minutes has seen one meaningful shot, saved by Janjetovic from the head of APIA Leichhardt's lone striker tonight, Jordan Segreto. React for McStay. There was a little coming together through the centre of the park, and the free kick is blown against Michael Kuda. He and Lockie Scott have been entangled in an ongoing physical encounter. Kuda's not the biggest centre half, and he's got the big body of Lachlan Scott to deal with. McStay trying to be clever by taking it quickly, but knew too well that Michael Wiener was still discussing the incident with the two players involved. I don't think that'll disappoint him too much, because it'll give him the opportunity to get the big bodies of Harrison Busnell and Banri Kanaizumi and Darcy Madden forwards. APIA have been diligent defensively to this point. Only takes a moment, though, from one of these Chris McStay set pieces. And now there's going to be another hold-up, because the wrestling match that was given to the foul had continued, and all the while Venerin Janjetovic is actually receiving some treatment down the other end of the pitch, which is why we're waiting. Wollongong physio off the pitch. Wrestling sorted out for now through the middle, so McStay can now deliver. Right on the halfway mark of the first half here at Lambert Park. Hoisted in deep towards Kanaizumi. It was Kuda who clears the free kick, which he conceded. Hernandez, lively early, less so in the past 5 or 10 minutes. That's a decent ball, though. Azone stooping to clear, and then a solid strike from Darcy Madden. Just didn't quite have the direction he was looking for. But another little warning shot fired across the bow of APIA Leichhardt, who, after starting this one brightly, have sort of reverted a little to the form we've seen from them over the last weeks. And cheap turnovers and not particularly asking consistent questions of Wollongong, although that ball from Sean Simmons gave Busnell more than a headache. And Eddie Caspers has made that deep run into the box. Kambiyashi scraped across and then a touch from Caspers, who'd continued his run but couldn't steer it on target. Better signs for APIA. A lot of their good work coming down this left flank at the moment. Simmons and Kambiyashi linking up nicely. It's giving Seb Hernandez some headaches going backwards as well. This time it's Malo going up with Lachlan Scott. It's probably the smart adjustment being made. Oh, and Achino, usually so sure on the ball in those sort of situations, was stunned by the presence of Riak. And it's just all looking a little bit panicked for the hosts at the moment. The chances are coming, but it's certainly not an unquestioned control of this match at the minute. Wollongong are such a functional football side that if you are at anything less than your best, they'll be right there to punish you. And so every one of these balls back to Bazanis must be watchful and precise. Chris McStay playing as the highest of those midfield three, almost alongside Scott when they defend. And I said Uchino couldn't turn it over there. That's exactly what he did, and Bazanis bailed him out. Almost an embarrassing moment for APIA's captain, bailed out by his goalkeeper. The usually clear head of Adrian Uchino is looking a little frazzled at the moment by the pace of physicality and pressure that the Wollongong Wolves are putting on him through the middle of the pitch. The most uncharacteristic of back passes. Wollongong will be buoyed by what they've been able to do in the opening 25 minutes or so of this game. Sure, APIA have had more of the ball and probably a little bit more of the territory, but they've had probably more of the chances so far, the visitors. Even if they only have been half ones, and Mustafa's off the shoulder again, but the flag is up on the near side. Very tight decision. And that was not by design by any stretch of the imagination from the APIA backline. Nearly caught by the player getting in behind. Mentioned a little bit earlier that APIA started this game so brightly, and they did. It was intricate link-up play and players getting off one another, but those passes forwards at the moment from the backline, skipping through midfield, are not paying off as they did in the opening 10 minutes. So a commanding win from Malo, probably exactly what the doctor ordered. Segreto felled, and Michael Wiener has been very consistent for both sides. And he touched through the back of an attacking player with their back to goal. Has drawn a whistle, just as it did for Lachlan Scott. And Wollongong down the other end, it bears fruit for Jordan Segreto and APIA this time. Set-piece situations are the ones from which both teams have looked most likely to this point. Scored a number of free kicks in his time at Manly United, Seiya Kambiyashi. Yet to see him strike one for APIA. Could he change that here? 4 in the wall. It's a tall wall for veteran Janjetovic. That was the right foot of the Japanese midfielder. Not quite dialed in. Has been an intriguing watch, this one. in the state of APIA Leichhardt, coming off those two performances that weren't their brightest, and having started the game so well, they're now being put under pressure, and plenty of it by their visitors. Bazanis forced to go long. Header forwards from Madden. And Lachlan Scott's done very well to keep that ball in play. Seb Hernandez's touch just betraying him a little. Well marshalled by Michael Kude, who's been under pressure in the centre of defence again tonight. Can't say he's done too much wrong. It's been those alongside him that put him into some tricky little situations. Worked that out nicely with Sean Simmons down the left. Busnell stooping to clear. That's a better touch from Uchino, and Busnell coming flying over the top of the much smaller Eddie Caspers, but there wasn't much of a decision to be made there for Michael Wiener, the referee. APIA just looking to insert some tempo into their play and find the feet of Jack Stewart, which they've failed to do too regularly at this point. This is better. Segreto with his back to goal again. Twisting and turning and getting a solid strike away on his less favoured left. And Janjetovic once again holding the strike. APIA have so much quality in their side that it'll only take a moment for their fortunes to turn. It's a footballing cliche to tell you how important the first goal is, but you feel that really is the case more than usual this evening. Sami Riak bringing down Jack Armson in midfield. Some appeals from APIA for a yellow card from the referee. Haven't seen one of them in the opening half hour. Stewart growing in influence, but marshalled by a couple of Wolves defenders as he looked to get forward. Ozone taking his time over the throw. Segreto with a cute touch. And Caspers has managed to work a throw a little bit higher up the pitch. Segreto getting involved deep now. Hasn't he been good today so far, Jordan Segreto? And he's looking to feed Kambiashi. Got it back off him! And Kambiashi had started his run in an offside position. But this is more like the APIA Leichhardt we know and love. The top scoring team in the competition. And when in full flight, they are so pretty to watch. And Wollongong suddenly just having to adjust. Slow the tempo a little themselves. Everything was looking very assured defensively until 5 or 10 minutes ago. APIA have managed to change that narrative, but they'd love a goal to show for it. Alex Molchanoff along with you on the Football New South Wales YouTube page tonight. Reminder to follow us across all our socials at NPL NSW is what you're searching on Facebook, Instagram and X. Get all the highlights, match reports, weekend previews and our feature content from the match of the round, which is taking place tomorrow. The league leaders Rockdale Illingdon taking on Sydney United 58. Only game in the men's competition on Sunday. That one kicking off at 3 p.m. Can't make it to the match or stream it live where you're watching this one on the Football New South Wales YouTube channel. You can get everything after the fact via the socials. That's a poor pass from Temba Muatamalo, which has allowed Seb Hernandez to pounce on the chance. Can he deliver something telling? How about the recovery from Sean Simmons, who not only kept the ball in play but managed to clear his lines as well. The sprightly legs of the 31-year-old Sean Simmons. catching up to Sep Hernandez and getting the better of him. So Wollongong readjust their attack and go down the left through Mustafa. McStay for Ryan. Mustafa didn't have that ball played precisely where he would have liked it. And so Anthony Bazanis is able to claim without too much trouble. Has really been a game where both teams are trying to solve the puzzle that the other are putting in front of them. The call from Sean Simmons right down in front of our commentary position is for APIA to move the ball quicker. I tend to agree with him. Not the first time we've seen Muatamalo just play that ball forward a little bit aimlessly. Wasn't aimless from Janjetovic, right on the money to the chest of Darcy Madden. Takami's flick is cut out by Kuta. Headed back forwards by Busnell. Scott with pressure from Kuta and he's back again. Armson knocked him off balance, but there was nothing illegal in that, according to the refereeing team. Michael Winner had a very good view, and Jack Stewart is running with the football in a dangerous area. Just a little short of Segreto, who managed something of it anyway. Kambiyashi facing up to a couple of Wolves. Flicked it inside, almost hoping an arm would be stuck out. How's the back heel? Not too bad, but very well marshalled defensively by Wollongong and Darcy Madden. He's been starting as a centre half the last couple of weeks. Moved into the right fullback role so far tonight. He's done a very good job of marshalling Seiya Kambiyashi, who is so full of running and energy. That will continue for the entirety of the 90 minutes. Let's hope, for Wollongong fans' sake, that Darcy's got the energy to keep up with him. He's timed another intervention beautifully there. Let's move back down to New South Wales. Here's Chris McStay. Well-timed challenge by Kuta, and it had to be. Zoni appealing for the free kick. But I think that defenders don't tend to get the decisions from officials in those sort of situations, particularly once they've cleared the football. So an attacking throw in a dangerous area for Wollongong with about 10 minutes of this first half left to play. Lachlan Scott drifting out to the left to take the ball with his back to goal. Riak happy to build from the back through Busnell. And now Madden. Hernandez. Takami. Nothing there for Wollongong, so they choose not to force it. Riak and Kanaizumi interchanging passes. Breaking a couple of lines was Kanaizumi. It's a lovely touch from Lachlan Scott for Yago Mustafa. Takami again. It was rather telegraphed, that pass from Madden, wasn't it? But at the same time, well read by Kamiyashi. Then Casper's winning through the middle of the pitch. And this is where APIA have been better in the last 10 or 15 minutes. They were outmuscled physically in the opening stages of this game. Not allowed to make any progress through the middle of the park. Although you could say the same for Wollongong. Haven't been able to progress the ball down the middle too often. Segreto getting the telling touch. Armson, almost a mirror of each other, these two sides at the moment, in the way they're looking to attack. Busnell looking for the ball over the top this time. Azone got enough on it to take it away from Mustafa. Madden. For McStay. It's been a high-quality game of football. Not the most end-to-end, certainly, but it's been intriguing to watch the way these two teams try and unlock each other's defences. APIA are going about it smartly here. Segreto just couldn't reel that one in, but he's managed to keep the attack alive, and he's got numbers joining him. Goes to the top of the box, and Eddie Caspers took a deflection off Takami, which made it a little bit awkward for Janjetovic, who was helped out by Kanaizumi. And now With Takami down clutching his head, Michael Winnett opted just to stop play for a moment. Scott, for the first time really, managing to escape the clutches of Kuda on his less favoured foot. Not able to push the pass through for Mustafa. APIA looking to give Wollongong a taste of their own medicine. It's all very watchful from both sides at the moment. Madden with a rare error in this first half. He's been so impressive in his defensive actions. Here's Uchino. Just had a couple of moments of panic in the opening 20 minutes or so. He's looking back to his old self now. Kuda asking for runners. Sean Simmons is the man picked out, and he's managed to reel it in before it got over the byline. Oh, and a creative effort from Caspers, inches away from giving APIA the lead. Would have been one of the goals of the season, given the technical difficulty of the finish. Ball fired in behind him, so he's just thought, I'll throw a heel at that, and was so close to scoring a very memorable goal. He's got 3 so far in his first season in APIA Leichhardt colours, Eddie Caspers. Scott looking to turn away from trouble. He's had to do a lot of work as an isolated striker to this point tonight. Helped out by Hernandez, and now Wollongong can try and build something positive with Takami. Patient as ever. Wollongong's problems this season have come for them a lot at the end of halves, although they're on the front foot here. Spinning was Hernandez. And off balance, firing the shot from that sort of distance. It would have been a spectacular effort to really even work something meaningful on target. He's got the talent to do that, Sebastian Hernandez, but not able to quite strike that purely. So the wait for a goal in this one goes on. We're about 5 minutes shy of the half-time break. Can't expect there'll be too much time added on. Won't add too much time with the ball out of play at all. So an Indigenous round last weekend, and APIA were in those kits last week. They've chosen to bring them out again tonight. Eddie Caspers is looking to get a goal in one. He's forward again from midfield and brought down by a little bit of a clumsy challenge from Darcy Madden. Feels aggrieved by the decision, but throwing a leg out, didn't get much of the ball. Certainly got quite a bit of Eddie Caspers. Probably been APIA's best player of this first half. The 20-year-old. Spent a few seasons with what were the North Shore Mariners and then the Bulls Academy. Shown us his chops and now doing it in the colours of one of the biggest clubs in the state, no doubt the country. He's given his side another attacking opportunity from this free kick. This time it's Segreto! How about that? APIA's pressure pays thanks to a moment of magic from Jordan Segreto, who's got through so much hard work in this first half, and he caps it off with a moment of quality. Spinning over the wall, and veteran Janjetovic did not move. Such was the whip that it might have even bounced before it crossed the line. Superb technique, excellent execution, and something to defend for APIA Leichhardt going into half-time. The curse of a late goal in the half strikes Wollongong again. It's an affliction that they are yet to remedy under David Carney. And its symptom has struck at a very unhappy time, thanks to Jordan Segreto. His 9th goal in the league this season. And probably the prettiest of them. Wonderful free kick. And an air of relief around Lambert Park after that strike. Been a frustrating 7 days or so, and certainly the fans can sense their premiership chances just slipping away, but that goal is keeping the hope well and truly alive. And Seiya Kambiyashi, who's not one to ever be anything less than full of energy, is trying to double the hurt, but his pass was misplaced. Hernandez and Eddie Casper's not only doing it in an attacking sense now, but getting back to sweep up defensively as well. And suddenly there's an added comfort in the way that APIA are stroking the ball around towards the end of this first half. How a goal can do that for a football team. Particularly one on, I'm sure, slightly weary legs tonight. They've been all action affairs, the two, in the last 7 days for the hosts tonight. That goal, so precious to them. Settled a little bit earlier in the half that I thought the first goal tonight might just be a little bit more important than usual. Not that it isn't always. And Cooter and Lockie Scott, not for the first time coming together off the football. Well, it has to be said, both in pursuit of it that time. Keep our eye on that as it develops over the course of the half. APIA Leichhardt with an experienced bench tonight. They've got Josh Simmons there. Didn't play in midweek. The 29-year-old. Brother of Sean Simmons, who's just touched that ball inside. Not his best one of the evening. Hernandez back for Darcy Madden. Busnell. 2 minutes to be added on, given to us by the fourth official tonight, Molly Godsall. And APIA are really looking for a backbreaker here. A second goal would make the mountain that Wollongong have to climb exponentially higher. It's all fallen down rather untidily on the touchline. Lachlan Scott sets off. Throw forward swept up by Temba Muatamalo. And just left a little to the right of Uchino. There were some APIA Leichhardt hearts in mouths just for a moment. Sean Simmons. Bending it over the top. Waited beautifully. Very well defended by Harrison Busnell, who had to be so attentive to the pressure that Jack Armson was offering right behind him. Kuda. Guatemala and now Azone. Cute touch again from Armson, just a little bit too delicate. Didn't quite have the purchase it needed to find Jordan Segreto, whose goal has given APIA Leichhardt the lead in the shadows of half-time. A superb set piece. One of the best free kicks you'll see all season, really. There's youngsters out there looking exactly the technique you want to strike a free kick from about 25 yards. Jordan Segreto's is almost a coaching manual by itself. APIA Leichhardt dominated at possession and territory, eventually got their goal after a couple of smart saves earlier in the half from veteran Janjetovic. There was nothing he could do about the free kick from Jordan Segreto. Takes him to 9 goals on the season for the 22-year-old. Wollongong not able to generate too much in the way of attacking opportunities themselves in the first half. That will have to be remedied by David Carney at the break. But as both teams head to the sheds here at Lambert Park in this round 24 fixture in the NPL New South Wales men's, it's APIA Leichhardt 1, Wollongong Wolves 0. Welcome back to Lambert Park. The second half of this round 24 NPL New South Wales men's fixture about to come your way on the Football New South Wales YouTube page. APIA Leichhardt holding a 1-0 lead thanks to Jordan Segreto's late free kick in the first half. APIA Leichhardt with the majority of possession and territory in the first half, forcing a couple of good saves from the Wolves goalkeeper Vedran Janjetovic before finally managing to beat him and open the scoring. Wollongong have provided stern resistance though, and certainly don't look out of the game by any stretch of the imagination. If APIA are at anything less than their best here in this second half, there's no doubt that they'll be punished at some point. And so, an engaging 45 minutes still to come. Alex Molchanoff with you here in the heart of Sydney's inner west. One of Australian football's most storied grounds, playing host to another Saturday night's football. It's been a high-quality encounter. Not always the most engaging, but it's been intriguing to see how both teams have looked to unpick the other. APIA now not burdened with that equation, simply needing to hold the lead that they've given themselves. No tactical adjustments or substitutions for either immediately obvious at the break. Chris McStay pushing up highest in support of his captain Lachlan Scott, who has been isolated at times at the front of Wollongong's attack. APIA have had their difficulties playing out every now and then, but have put together some sterling bits of combination play as well. Segreto's been superb, moving into the centre. Ben Gibson back on the bench for Franco Parisi, APIA's top scorer in his first season with the club, if needed. But they haven't needed him to this point because Jordan Segreto has done such a good job. He's brought to the club as a wide player. That's where he's been deployed for the majority of his APIA Leichhardt career to this point, but he's making a good fist of it through the middle, and he has his name on the scoreboard for the 9th time. Been a fruitful move for him. Central Coast Mariners Academy product, came through with so many of those players who were integral to the Mariners' last 2 championships in the A-League men's. Kanai zoom his ball forward, only found Kuta playing as a makeshift centre half again tonight. Wondered if there might be a reshuffle when we saw the team sheets from Franco Parisi this evening. That's not been the case. Nick Azzoni, the only change to the backline, if you like, from the team that lost 3-2 against the Central Coast Mariners here on Wednesday night. We've got an attack to defend here. A dangerous ball from McStay. Kuta got there ahead of Anthony Bazanis and eventually Sean Simmons, well, trying to play his way out. Perhaps not the correct option. React from Mustafa. Attack continues for Wollongong. Bright start to this second half for the visitors. Hernandez jinking his way towards the defence, now holding up and finding McStay with his less favoured left foot, and it was eventually scrambled away. Not completely clear though, and the attack continues. Hernandez towards Scott, just eased off it cleverly by Nick Azzoni. Showing us his wherewithal in defence, and now Wollongong got to be alive to the counter. Segreto stepped offside. I think he had a half a mind that was the case as well. He was looking across the line. Probably would have liked that a touch earlier from Jack Umson, once of the Newcastle Jets, of course. Once playing for those two clubs that were great rivals, the front two for APIA Leichhardt tonight. Worked very well in tandem this evening. Oh, and Sean Simmons failing to cut out that ball down the right. McStay's cross deflecting behind off Michael Kuta. And so it's the visitors who've started this second half the brightest. Chasing the advantage given to APIA by Jordan Segreto. Wollongong have found fairly consistent success through this route to goal this season. Benry Kanaizumi always a threat. McStay looking to pick him out. It's towards Darcy Madden, who jumped highest amongst the pack. Header was on target, but fairly easily wrangled by Anthony Bazanis. Andre Takami was so influential in the early stages of the first half before fading out of the game a little. And APIA Leichhardt will be quite happy with this sort of pattern of play in the game, playing out from the back without too much pressure from Wollongong. Be interesting to see how long it takes David Carney to make the change if they don't come by an equaliser in the next 10 minutes or so. Kambayashi. Segreto, the willing chaser. Busnell using his big body to shepherd the ball out of play. Reminder of what's on the line tonight. APIA Leichhardt coming into this evening, trailing the league leaders Rockdale Illingdon by 10 points. Well, hoping that would be down to 7 before their game, after their game on Wednesday night. It's not been the case. 2 poor performances put in against the bottom 2, Central Coast Mariners and Sutherland, over the past 7 days. Managed to get themselves out of a 2-0 deficit against Sutherland to claim all 3 points. Weren't as fortunate against the Mariners on Wednesday. And facing more of a threat here through Yagoub Mustafa, who's in behind and gets the equaliser for Wollongong, the direct running of the once South Sudanese international. An emphatic finish, and Wollongong have deserved that equaliser for the way they've started the second half, and they're head over heels about it. Cannot question the attitude and the application of Yagoub Mustafa. Superb signing he's been from the NPL in Victoria, where he had a solid season with South Melbourne, but Wollongong has breathed new life into him. His 3rd goal in Wolves colours, and that's a critical one. I mentioned what's on the line for APIA Leichhardt tonight. The Wolves looking to hold their position in 6th place and to claim a final spot in the new system that mirrors the A-League men's. And a beautifully timed challenge from Darcy Madden. Just as APIA were when they got their goal, the Wolves are invigorated by their equaliser. And the puzzle that Franco Parisi's team looked as though they might be on the way to solving, they've still got a few pieces missing. Dylan Ryan trying to keep that ball in play, managed that, but wasn't able to work it towards anyone else in grey and black. The press, which had just fallen off a little from Wollongong, unsurprisingly. It's becoming more and more active. It forces the turnover from Azone. And suddenly it's the visitors with the wind in their sails. What a terrific contest this has turned into at Lambert Park. Hope you're enjoying the coverage on the Football New South Wales YouTube page. Wouldn't be going anywhere if I was you. Madden just with a heavy touch. Ian Simmons going in. Lockie Scott lending a hand for Wollongong. And feeding the goal scorer Mustafa, who's full of confidence. Driving at the defence again, ducking inside one. Beautifully timed challenge from Armson, but then was left a little short by Azone. Mustafa, full of confidence, but not quite quick enough to keep that one in play. Cool heads needed for APIA. They've got enough of them. Ooh, now that was a tough one from Chris Mixdale, let's put it that way. Michael Wynn has kept his cards in his pocket to this point. He's been patient. He's renowned as a patient official. APIA have had the question as to why Wollongong haven't received 1 or 2. And there's an offside decision flagged by the assistant on the near side this evening, Lachlan Hines. One of the APIA players retreating to get involved in that passage of play. Ryan had it nicked off him by Jack Stewart. Shown us in flashes what he's capable of tonight. That was a beautifully weighted and timed ball for Segreto. Caspers again making the forward run, which he did so often in the first half. Marshalled by a couple of Wolves, and Banari Kanaizumi brings it clear. Scott and Muatamalo, not for the first time tonight, battling for it in the air. Sammy Riak going at it on the ground and winning out ahead of Armson. Takami cool as ever. Hasn't he been a clever addition? The change to the middle of the park for David Carney tonight. He's just added a level of assurance and sure-headedness I don't think they quite have the like of elsewhere in their squad. Certainly Sammy Riak is increasing game on game in his maturity, but he's been pressured off it there, and Stewart, who's never shy of letting fly, didn't quite catch that as he was aiming to. Ten minutes into the second half, both the goals coming in close proximity in terms of playing time. Of course, we had the break to separate them. Jordan Segreto getting the opener for APIA Leichhardt just before half-time from the free kick. Wollongong getting the equaliser after it through Mustafa and looking for a second to try and take the lead. It's Lockie Scott still running at defenders, and Azone timed his intervention to perfection but concedes the corner. The visitors have well and truly swung the pendulum. This has been the end down which most of the attacking has been done this evening. Stay hasn't delivered his best from these set-piece situations so far tonight. It only takes one, though. And the Wolves' line at the back post resumes. Steered in towards them. Stewart back doing the defending for APIA, but it'll be an attacking throw for Wollongong. I asked how long it would take David Carney to go to his bench. It's the APIA players you can see there warming up behind Darcy Madden as he took the throw. Kanaizumi. So the Wolves press for a second. Chino shouting words of support for his side, but they're on the back foot, well and truly. Mikazoni has been terrifically tidy in his work this evening. Needs a little bit of support from those inside him. They're going to have to retreat here. Casper's doing the sweeping up. Beat the ball to the byline initially, but could only knock it behind for a corner in the end, aiming for the touchline. McStay will get another opportunity to swing this ball into the APIA penalty area. Two at the front post for APIA, Uchino and Armson. It's over both of them, but straight into the arms of the grateful Anthony Bazanis. And Sebastian Hernandez doing some smart work, not only getting back to snuff out the counter-attack, but winning the throw as well, much to the displeasure of Parisi. And now it goes APIA's way. I think with some help from the fourth official, Molly Godsall, who was right on the spot. Not sure David Carney is all too impressed with that. Madden almost juggling it to himself to keep it off the toe of Seiya Kambiashi. Uchino so often in the right spot. He wasn't helped out by the return pass from Sean Simmons. Too many turnovers in midfield at the start of this second half for APIA Leichhardt. Azoni again intervening at the perfect moment. That's where they want Uchino, moving forward with the football. Kuda. Goes short for Sean Simmons. Seiya Kambayashi losing his footing at the critical moment. This is newly relayed turf, of course, Lambert Park. Remember that APIA played their opening few home games at Leichhardt Oval this season. The one fixture at Sydney Olympic Park Athletic Centre as well. That didn't go particularly well for them. Thumping 5-1 loss to Sydney United on that Sunday afternoon. Form since returning to Lambert Park has been fairly assured. Just the 2 losses here to the Marconi Stallions and then to the Central Coast Mariners during the week. But the Wolves are looking to make further indents in that impressive home record. Guatemala's pass forward is cut out, not for the first time this evening. We tick towards the hour mark. It is all to play for. Busenel bombing one over the top. Beautifully weighted for Yagu Mustafa, whose equaliser got Wollongong back on terms. He gets into a little wrestling match with Azoni as both tried to return to their feet. Azoni can't say was really at fault for the goal, given the nature of the turnover that led to it. Turnover from APIA in midfield again, and Sebastian Hernandez is going down the other flank this time. He's got numbers joining him. Bazanis only able to beat it into a dangerous area. Fortunately, Temba Mwatamalu was closest to the ball. And he calls for calm from his midfield. That's where Wollongong are finding their joy. Press has been well executed through the middle of the pitch, and it has caused problems for APIA playing out all evening. React for Kanaizumi, and there's a lot of space down this near side again for Dylan Ryan this time. Searching for Scott. Watamalo has been very big for APIA Leichhardt in this second half. Got to the ball in the nick of time. Chino was searching for Stewart but couldn't find him. Four years since Wollongong have won at this ground. They picked up a draw here a couple of seasons ago. Defeated here 3-0 on their last visit though. A couple of goals to Jack Armson that night. Diego Celis, now departed, got the opener. They're having rather more luck this evening. Scott turning smartly, and then a beautifully timed challenge from Azoni. Not for the first time. Won the challenge and the throw. Eddie Casper's afflicted with that same little error in his passing through midfield. It's not been the only one, and Franco Parisi has sensed that now is the time to make the changes. Ben Gibson, his top scorer this season, back in the squad and being readied. Looks as though it's going to be a double sub as well. With Maxim Kasalovic, who made his debut for APIA on Wednesday night against his old club, the Central Coast Mariners, which was part of a side that made a grand final in League One. Tidy midfield player, might be just what APIA are looking for at the moment, because they are really struggling to get out of their own half. This is so different to the pattern of play in the first half. Mustafa squares it up for Andre Takami. Trying to measure something into the area for Seb Hernandez, who appreciates the effort, but the execution not quite right. This is all building in a very nice direction for Wollongong at the minute, though. It's APIA who need to turn the tide, and balls like that are not going to help them. Visitors playing with a certain freedom that their hosts haven't quite been able to find tonight. Even that clearance from Temba Mwatamalu, just full of hesitation. Something you don't usually associate with APIA. Madden for McStay. Mendes once again chasing, and Sean Simmons has had to get through a lot of work at left back tonight. He's going to have to do a little bit more. How about the dancing feet to get out of it? Brilliant from Sean Simmons. Chino can't err for too long. He felt a touch from Darcy Madden, who is pinged for the foul on the APIA Leichhardt captain, and that gives them the chance to make the changes they're looking for. So as I mentioned, Maxim Kasalovic is going to be the first one, and Jack Stewart, he's returned to the starting side. He's not had his most fruitful evening. Shares a slap of hands with Sami Riak. It looks as though Gibson will go into that centre-forward position, which he has made his own this season for APIA. And Adrian Uchino, replaced by Kasalovic, who I'm sure APIA are looking to be the man once Uchino's time in midfield comes to an end. I'm not suggesting that's particularly close on the horizon, but it will eventuate one day. Look at a player who's very similar in his technical qualities to take his spot. So, two almost like-for-like subs for Franco Parisi. And here is Gibson with his first touch. Not successful, but Segreto takes up the attack, and now Caspers. Sean Simmons getting forward from left full-back. Gibson's touch assured enough. The two youngsters who have just come on combining. Azone's ball over the top, bending towards Caspers. Segreto, who's moved out to the right since those subs. Kasalovic, this is better from APIA already. The subs making an impact. Caspers twisting and turning. Interchanging passes with Gibson. He just stepped a moment too soon. It was the most delicious of attacking thrusts from APIA Leichhardt. And Eddie Caspers must have been half a moment too soon in making his run forward to get the ball back off Ben Gibson. Is that the tide turning? Well, it's not a good sign though with Seiya Kambiyashi keeled over. He looks to be grabbing at the back of his leg too. That is not a good sign for APIA Leichhardt, their Japanese flyer. And yeah, the signal being made by the physio now. There's going to have to be another sub, this one enforced for Franco Parisi. Still remaining on his bench, he's got Alex Denmead, who's probably the most obvious, or Rory Jordan there as well. As I said, it's a very deep bench, as it always seems to be for APIA. Rory Jordan has struggled to get into the starting team tonight. Well, all season really. Has had his injury problems, but still their top assist getter in season 2024. And it is Jordan who comes on in that like-for-like role down the left. Got the opening goal of that Waratah Cup final last season. He's got 7 goals to go with his 6 assists as well, so it'll be another threat. APIA's first unit only able to find the 1 goal. Can their backups add to the tally? They've got some defending to do first. Could have winning the foot race with McStay, but his touch kept the attack alive. Riak. Out for Harrison Busnell. Now Madden. Looking direct for Scott. Fairly easily cut out by Kuta. And Madden's header was only out of play. So 3 of the changes made by Franco Parisi. He's only got 1 more stoppage available to him to use his remaining 2. Mentioned Josh Simmons is there as a defensive option should they look that way, but they need a goal at the moment. Kasalovic was just inviting Azoni onto it, and now interchanging passes with Segreto. Bundled over by Ryan, but APIA's attack continues. There's another late challenge in there from Darcy Madden, who's totting them up, and I think is just having the word with Michael Wino, who might have just said, "That's your last one, son." A little bit too far out for Segreto to repeat his heroics from the first half. That's a less than polite introduction to the game for Rory Jordan. Sean Simmons is well in heel with what's required from him this evening. Getting further and further forward as this half goes on. And he's managed to win his side a corner. Just over 20 minutes for APIA to try and find a winner here. With Uchino off, it's now Jack Armson who's over to take this one. Looking as though he's going to drive it towards Muatamalu, whose run was just blocked off. Kasalovic caught plenty of that and was only whiskers away from giving Vedran Janjetovic a serious headache. Known for his technical ability around the NPL New South Wales, Maxim Kasalovic, but showing some brute force when it was required there as well. Just not quite the direction to go with it. APIA have managed to wrangle back some momentum in the last 10 minutes. Now just joining us, Jordan Segreto opening the scoring in the first half. A quite superb free kick. Bent its way past Vedran Janjetovic, who was unmoved in the Wollongong net. But this man, Yaqub Mustafa, got the equaliser for Wollongong. And is turning in one of his finest performances in a Wollongong shirt so far. Of course, as I said, that he misdirects the cross, but Hernandez reels it in and makes sure the attack stays alive. Simmons back to do the defending. Both teams want the decision, and it goes Wollongong's way. Right in front of a cavalcade of APIA supporters who have gathered alongside the few hearty Wolves supporters standing down there in the makeshift den. A couple of the 20s, of course, that game is to follow this one tonight. Sean Simmons dribbling himself into trouble there. Thankfully, Gibson was there to bail him out. Kasalovic looking for his old Mariners teammate, Segreto. And Dylan Ryan, well, it struck his arm. Well, I think the argument from Lachlan Hines, the assistant, who had a very good view of that, was that there was no intent. That argument won't satisfy APIA, but they'll have to live with it. The intent from Wollongong in this final 20 minutes will be interesting. They've suffered a glut of late goals. They've dropped 12 points from positions like this over the course of this season already. Conceded 12 goals in the final 15 minutes of games, so that will undoubtedly be playing on their minds somewhat. David Carney will be all too aware of that affliction that his team have had, not only over the course of this season, but his entire tenure, really. And APIA have got the firepower to hurt Wollongong late. So will they return to a deep-lying position or continue to try and dictate parts of this game where they're allowed? Try and chase all 3 points for themselves. APIA have well and truly turned the tide, and they've got to be very careful. The pace of Ben Gibson, who didn't feel he was offsides, but Lachlan Hines was watching all the way, and as soon as Gibson became involved, the flag went up from the assistant on the near side. As we mentioned, 3 subs already made by APIA. Wollongong yet to use any of theirs. Papes waiting to unleash those fresh legs. They've got the goal-scoring boots of Jake True available to them tonight, as well as Alex Maciovecchio. Hasn't scored, well, since July last year. So a bit of a goal drought for Alex. Well, he spent a bit of time out with injury. Ben Giasson, who actually made his debut for Wollongong here last year in that 3-0 loss. Started the game in midfield that night. Still his only start for Wollongong. He's on the bench as an attacking option as well. It's APIA Leichhardt who have wrangled back the impetus, but they need another goal. Anything less than 3 points tonight, and the premiership chase is all but over. And so a very important quarter of an hour for both teams coming up. Kanaizumi belting that one forward and letting out a shout of exasperation. But his team have almost managed to make it work. Watamalo sweeping up and a beautiful ball forward for Gibson, who's got space to run into. Gibson and Kanaizumi, the Japanese centre-half, did a terrific job of just shielding the ball away. Less an impressive touch from Mustafa. Kaspers. And Armson was offside. So the second time APIA have had the ball in the back of the net in this second half, both have been ruled out by the flag of the assistant. And very much in contrast to the start of this half of football. Now it's Wollongong who can't get out of their own half. It's looking more like the opening 45 minutes. Kuda hasn't stopped searching forwards all night. Busnell, who has headed everything that has come in his direction. Oh, Kasalovic almost falling into the same trap that befell Adrian Uchino a couple of times in the first half and leaving a pass back towards his own goal short. Segreto dropping really as deep as we've seen him all evening. Wollongong have settled back into their shape, looking as though they're content to try and defend the point that they've got at the moment. Busnell with a lovely turn on the football and then clattered into by Eddie Kaspers, and the whistle came after a moment's thought from Michael Wiener. Ryan down the line and over it. And so now David Carney does go to his bench. Perhaps no surprise in that, although they've chosen to just take another stoppage in play before they actually make the change. Jake True and Alex Masiovecchia, the two players I mentioned, unsurprisingly, are going to be the two called on to try and turn this game again for Wollongong. Probably Segreto's first misplaced touch of the evening. Janjetovic showing a cool head under pressure, and Lachlan Scott doing brilliantly to win the ball in the air. McStay was stretching to play the ball forward, and so the pass was misplaced. The last game between these two earlier in the season was decided by a late goal from Sean Simmons. It came with about 10 minutes to go. Can Wollongong flip the script? That 2-1 victory down at Wynn Stadium earlier in the year. Kasalovic for that man, Sean Simmons, who's worked tirelessly down the left from fullback this evening. Still driving forwards. Takami having to go with him. Can't nick the ball off him. Gets the ball in, Sean Simmons. It's Ben Gibson for Jack Armson. Struck the post. A hard luck story so far in this second half for Jack Armson, who has had the ball in the back of the net and been ruled out for offside, and then struck the frame of Vedran Janjatovic's net. And County has seen enough. Now the changes come. Sebastian Hernandez has been lively down the left. Brought off. Jake True. He's had his injury battles again this season, but he's managed to regain fitness and show the goal-scoring form. Lachlan Scott, I always think, looks his most dangerous playing with True up front. The contrast of the two. Scott, who's very willing to come towards the football, and True, who's always looking to get in behind defences. And there is Scott. You already see the interplay between them. Masio Vecchio with his first touch since coming on. Brought to ground under the challenge of Sean Simmons, but it was all fair, said the referee. Caspers finding his second wind. Oh, he's left that ball short. Watamalu was just ahead in the foot race and then won a second ball against McStay. Like APIA have numbers here. Jordan with space on the left. Couple inside him. It's Rory Jordan for APIA. Still trying to dance past. Still Rory Jordan. One touch too many. Watamalu winning that ahead of Jake True. Segreto. It is so tense here at Lambert Park. Both teams know the importance of all 3 points and know that one is much less than they desire from this evening. Not the end of the road for either of them by any stretch of the imagination, but 3 points is so much more valuable at this stage of the season. APIA in pursuit of a second straight premiership. Wollongong looking for a first final series since the COVID pandemic. Rory Jordan out wide for Segreto. Oh, and it was flashing across Ben Gibson, who'd made the front post run but couldn't make contact. Wollongong survive another raid. And it's won back by APIA, who might just be sniffing blood. Segreto, oh, his touch let him down with McStay right in his back. And there's enough space for Janjetovic just to play out rather than having to launch long. Ryan asking for a runner to feed. It comes through Jake True. Gives it straight back to Dylan Ryan. Looking for the goal scorer Mustafa. A touch from Azerni, a further one from Kasalovic, and it results in a Wollongong corner. For all the pressure and possession that APIA Leichhardt have had in the last 15 minutes, they are still vulnerable to a late winner from their opposition. And these are the situations they'll be fearing most. Ben Gibson, the only one forward. Wollongong's certainly not committing everyone forwards themselves. Alex Masio-Vecchio is at the edge of the box, as well as Yagub Mustafa. All the tall timber forward again for Chris McStay to aim at. It's the low option towards Scott, who'd made the front post run. It was launched high enough in the air that Anthony Bizanis could make the catch rather easily. Oh, and Mustafa's let it bounce. Had to be very watchful in his defensive work there. But the goal scorer was up to the task. McStay. Going all the way back to veteran Janjetovic. Numbers have stayed forward for Wollongong. Ryan was asking for it long. He's got it, and he's found Scott, almost able to take it in his stride there. It was allowed plenty of room by the Leichhardt defence, but Watamalu knew exactly what he was doing, judged it perfectly. Jordan allowed to turn. Segreto, his opposite winger, trying to make the run in behind. Janjetovic alive to the danger, playing sweeper. Ryan, oh, he's got to be very careful here because Jake True snuck in off the shoulder. Held up now by Watamalu. Mustafa. Those direct balls in behind have given APIA issues all evening. Riak. Caspers sensing the opportunity to win it back, and Sammy Riak's turned it over. It's Jordan. Oh, and he might have just panicked a little bit with that ball. There were numbers inside him. It's all opened up. Both teams need all 3 points. Mustafa trying to exploit that space. Oh, it was a creative ball in. Just not quite the curve he needed to find the path of Jake True. And the watchful, patient build-up from both teams that we've seen for so much of this match has flown right out the window as both search for a winner. Kuda. Not risking anything short. Although, can argue that's a risk in itself when you're searching for a winner and chasing a second straight premiership as APIA are. 1 point not enough this evening. Busnell. Would be a real kick in the nuts if they were to concede now. Kanaizumi. Bent in behind by Ryan. And Mustafa has kept it, well, initially along the line, but eventually over it. .5 minutes for either side to find a winner. There's hardly a noise coming from the crowd. It is just so tense. The Joe Marston Pavilion on the other side of the pitch, barely a body has moved from the viewing window either. Jordan looks so good since coming on and draws the free kick off McStay. Mazzoni. It's the first pass I can remember him misplacing all night. And now Dylan Ryan is struggling to get back to his feet. Wollongong wanted a free kick that wasn't forthcoming. That's a heavy touch from Kuda, and it meant that his pass was rushed, and it means there's space in behind him for Marcio Vecchio. There's numbers forward here for Wollongong if they play it right. Marcio Vecchio goes himself and misses, slotting it inside the post. What a chance for Wollongong. APIA's mistake not punished. And could Wollongong come back to rue that moment? It's been a long wait for a goal for Alex Marcio Vecchio. And it goes on with players inside him. And now the free kick is blown against Banri Kanaizumi for a late challenge on Jack Armson. Yaqub Mustafa is having rather antagonistic words with the assistant on the near side. His frustration clear. It's his goal that got Wollongong level just after half-time. Segreto has been tireless this evening. It's his goal that gave APIA the lead in the shadows of half-time. Heroes and villains to be made in the next 2.5 minutes, plus whatever is added on for stoppages. There haven't been too many of them in this second half. Scott dropping short. Nice bit of interplay from Wollongong, and Marcio Vecchio's off the shoulder again. Is his decision making a little better? Well, he's helped out by the crude challenge from Kasalovic. It gave him a leg to go over. That's exactly what he did, and so Wollongong can take their time and throw the big bodies forward once more. Small band of fans behind the net, waiting in anticipation. Apprehensive faces elsewhere around Lambert Park, not least in their technical area. McStay's ball in. There's a crowd of bodies, and Madden got his head to the ball but couldn't steer it on target from no more than 2 yards. I don't know if Anthony Bazanis got a touch, but if he did, he might have just saved his team. A critical goalkeeping intervention. Is the flame of this clash just dying out a little? Or are we going to have a late winner and some more late drama in a Wollongong Wolves game? They'll be hoping that for once it's in their favour, but time is quickly running out for both. Azone. Kasatlivic. Clever turn. Azone. For Caspers. And now Jordan. The time to be patient is over for APIA. They need to get the ball forward as quickly as possible, preferably to someone wearing maroon. Three minutes to be added on as we enter stoppage time. 3 minutes for APIA to keep their premiership hunt alive. Or for Wollongong to ensure that they will still be inside the top six come the end of the weekend. Forget that. How about just the end of tonight? Armson, Jordan. Sean Simmons still with the energy to overlap. Chris McStay still with the energy to intercept. But APIA have it down the right end. It's going to be one more substitution for David Carney. Banri Kanaizumi is taking the armband off Lachlan Scott. I was going to say that would have been a startling substitution at this stage of the game. Not to be. Damon Gray, the 19-year-old, is going to be entrusted to run it out. Another big shift put in by Lachlan Scott, not able to find the back of the net tonight. Jordan had his pass cut out. Kuda for Moatamalo. Every Wolves player behind the ball, even this deep in their own half. Segreto. And again, the two goal scorers facing up. The touch critical from Damon Gray, a very positive first intervention. Has he got numbers with him as it comes through him through the centre circle? Now Mustafa. Wolves have numbers forward. True was screaming for it. He's managed to run away from Temba Moatamalo. And then back doing the defending was Nick Azone. And Mustafa suggesting that Wollongong might just be happy to settle for a point. That's not enough for APIA. And Ryan just happy to thump it against Azone again. Precious seconds ticking away for the hosts. Into the chest of young Damon Gray. Taken off him by Moatamalo. Pressed back in by Riak. Nice touch from Caspers. Gorgeous. Armson. Segreto was taken out off the ball. APIA continue to press forward through Caspers. Jordan. Can he be the hero again for APIA Leichhardt? Dancing past Kanaizumi. Can he beat Madden? He's managed to work a corner. Time for waiting is over now. Michael Wiener has just had a check of his watch. The 3 minutes allotted are over. I think they're going to have one last bite of the cherry here. Armson. And caught easily by Janjetovic. He's in no rush to release. And there it is. Mustafa's equaliser, enough for a point from Wollongong on a frustrating night for the visitors, but for APIA Leichhardt, their premiership hopes might have just fizzled out in the space of 7 days. Not able to defend the lead given to them by Jordan Segreto's superb free kick. The equaliser from Mustafa. inside the first 10 minutes of the second half. Enough for the visitors to head back down the M1 with a point. Is that the end of APIA Leichhardt's Premiership dream for a second straight season? We'll have to wait and see over the next month or so, but certainly there is a very big gap to try and close now. It's been a pleasure to bring you this one on Saturday night from Lambert Park. Remember to tune in to the rest of our coverage of the remaining couple of games tonight on the Football New South Wales YouTube page. But it's Alex Molchanoff signing off from Sydney's Inner West, where it has finished APIA Leichhardt 1, Wollongong Wolves 1.